In this tutorial, we are going to take a look at Google Keep and how you can use it as an agenda book or a homework organizer. Google Keep, you can get to Google Keep a couple of ways. You can either type in keep.google.com. You can go to your Google Apps grid, and when you press on that, you will find Google Keep somewhere in your Google Apps area. Google Keep is available via the web. It is also available on your iPhone and your iPad if you are using an iDevice or across your Android devices also. And because it is Google and you log in via your Google account, it is synced amongst all of your devices that you have. So I really like this feature because I can add some things if I'm on my computer, and then when I'm out in the classroom, I pull up the app on my phone and everything is there. Google Keep is a digital sticky note, and it's very simple to use. When you first log into or use your Google Keep and you've never used it before, this is what will show up. So you will have your top scroll bar up here, and we're just going to jump into here where it says take a note. So you can just click on it. You have the ability to type in a title, ability to write your note, and then you have some other options here. What's new is you have the ability to create what's called a new list. And what this will do is it will automatically start the list with checkboxes. Previously, your only option was to do take a note, and then within the box, within your sticky note, then you would go in and turn on the checkboxes. You can still do that, but this is a newer feature where you can just create a new list and the checkboxes will automatically work for you. Another option is you can do a new note with an image. So if you wanted to add a picture to kind of differentiate, you can start the note that way. But if you started as a traditional take a note, you can also go in after and add an image. So I don't want you to think that you're limited to, if I want to use it as a checkbox list or add an image, I have to do it right away. You don't have to do that. This is a tool for drawing and it's saying the drawing is not available. So I'm just going to click on take a note. You can title your note. So if I'm using this as my homework agenda / to-do list, I'm going to type in Monday. So this is going to be all of the stuff that I need to do on a Monday. And maybe I want to type in the date. So I'm going to type in January 29th. Then under here, you have your option, which is to take a note. So when you click on that, it's just taking a note. It's just going to be text. It's as if you were typing in a Google Doc. You have a couple of options in here, like I said, as you're typing. If you type on the three dots, it says more, and you would click on that. This is where you can show the check boxes. So if I do that, it now turns into list item. And as I start typing, it's going to give me my checkbox. And if I'm doing this as my agenda / to-do list, I would personally want to have it as a checkbox because what I want to be able to do is when I'm done that task, I want to be able to check it off. So let's say on Monday we have some math. We have a math worksheet to do. And then when I'm done typing, I just hit return or enter and it brings me down to the next one. Then I have to do an English vocab sheet. And I need to start working on science research project. Okay. So you can see as I'm typing it in, the checkboxes is already there. When you hover over, you see these boxes here, these dots here to the left of the box. If you go to that, I now have my crosshairs. I can move all of my work. So when you're doing this, the nice thing is that you can do that initial brain dump of just typing everything in. And then when I need to sit down and maybe prioritize and say, okay, I'm typing in the work as I go throughout my day. Math was first period, English is second period, science is third period. But I really know that looking at my afternoon and evening and prioritizing what's due when. I know my math worksheet is due on Tuesday, but my English vocab sheet isn't due until Wednesday. So I could even come in here and say due Tuesday, and I can come in here and say due Wednesday. But then I have the ability to move the tasks around to prioritize them visually in order also. If I come down here to the bottom, you do have some background color options, so you can color coordinate your Post-it notes. The default is white, but say I wanted to give every color a different day, I can come in and do that. You also have the option to do a background image. It's very limited in color. Not in color. It's very limited in items in here. You know, we've got recipe, we've got music, we've got food, we've got groceries. You do have the ability, like I said before, you have the ability to insert an image, and I can show you where that is. But I'm just going to here pick travel just so you can see this is the background. It turns into that, and you can have a different color. Um, you can select the color, which is kind of your taskbar, and you can have an image in there. And if you decide, I don't want an image, you just do the default, which is the entire color that way. And then you click out of it. Now, if you wanted to add an image, like I said, at the beginning, you have the option to create a new note with an image. But say I'm doing this and I don't normally have an image, but there's something that I need to remember. Like maybe one of my items is bring novel into school on Tuesday. And I want to be able to take a picture of it. I can go into my add images. And when I click on that, because I'm on my computer, it's going to open up my Finder so I can add an image. If you're on your phone or your iPad, when you click on add image, it's going to ask you, do you want to take a photo or do you want to add an image that's already in your picture roll? So this is really good for on the fly. If you're in English class, you forgot your book and the teacher's like, okay, you need to remember to bring it tomorrow. I can just go, I can add that image, take a picture of it, and it will add the image in there for you. So you do have that option in there. Couple other options, like I said, when you click on your more, you have the ability to delete your note. You can add a label. So if you were using this not as an agenda book, but say you were using it for note taking and you had lots of different notes, like say for this science project, I'm doing it on the life cycle of a butterfly, but I also have another project that I'm working on, and I might have lots of different notes in there. The one thing I don't like about Google Keep is you can't really make folders, but your ability to add labels can kind of turn it into a folder. So I could add the label here and just say, science project. And now I have that label here. Then when I come over and search here at the top and I do science, it's going to bring up my science up here. It's going to pull up all the words in my notes that have science, even the ones that I have archived, it will pull it up and you can search for it that way. You can also make a copy of your note. Sometimes people like to do this if they're just changing the date on something, if they want to keep the integrity of the original note but want to adjust it, you can always make a copy. You have the ability to hide the check boxes, and when I do that, now it's just a list this way. But again, if you're doing it more for an agenda or to-do list, then you can come in here, show check boxes, it brings it right back for you. You can copy to Google Docs, and what happens when you do that is if I click on that, what it's going to do is it's going to pull this note out. And when I open my Google Doc, I now have literally a Google Doc with all of the information that was in that Keep. A reason I would use that is if I was using Google Keep as a note-taking tool for research projects, and then I wanted to pull that information into my Google Doc, I might just want to open it up directly into a Google Doc. Then I don't have to worry about copying and pasting information. It's right there. Another way you can access it is that if you are in your Google Doc, you have your sidebar here. And if I click on Keep, my note is in here. Okay, and you have the ability to create new notes, and you have the ability to see this information in here. When I click on my three dots, you do have the option to add to document. And when I click on that, you'll notice that it did take my entire note and put it in there. So there's a couple of ways that you can get your Google Keep notes into your Google Doc. You can either do it directly from Keep or you can do it as a sidebar. The thing with doing it from Google Keep is that when you create a Google Doc, it's going to create individual Google Docs for each individual note. If you have, like, we'll go back to that science project. If I have, say, 5 sticky notes about this science project, and I have them all listed here in a row, and I want to add them all to the Google Doc, it would make more sense to open up a blank Google Doc, open up my Keep in here, and then add the Keep into my Google Doc, and I would just go into each individual note, and it would just put it in order of the way that wherever my cursor is, that's where it's going to insert it. That way, if you have multiple notes, um, Google Keep notes that you want to put into one Google Doc, that is the way that I would do it. Okay, so we're going to go back into our Google Keep. We're going to come back here into our More. And then version history, this is a newer feature. It's the same as in your Google Docs history. I like this because if I have shared the note with somebody and I want to see, oh, I thought I added this in and it got taken away, you can go and look in your version history to see who added stuff to it, who took things away if you collaborate with it. Because you do have the option here to add a collaborator so you can share. So sometimes teachers may do this if they're creating a checklist that they want all of the students to say use in for a writing assignment. A teacher might create a writing checklist, and then instead of having to go into each student's device and create a Google Keep checklist, they can just create it once. They can add collaborators, and then the students will get that and the students can use it. With the version history now, the teacher then can go in and see. And if it's like, okay, I thought I had 5 items here and the writing checklist, something's missing here, I can go in and see when it was deleted and who deleted it. Just like you can in your Google history within Google Docs or Google Slides that you have. So I do like that feature and the ability to collaborate if you have something that you want to be able to push out to everyone in the classroom, or if you're working with a small group of, if you're in doing a group project with your peers and someone is the one that's kind of taking the notes, then they can just share it via Google Keep. If there's kind of like a to-do list of, okay, John's going to do the introduction, Sally's going to do paragraph 1, Ben's going to do paragraph 3, Johnny's going to look for the images. You can have one person create this Google Keep with that information and then share it with their teammates. And then all of the students kind of have their to-do list for that project. Okay. Like I said, you do have the ability to change your background colors, add your images. Archive, basically what that will do is that if you don't want to delete the note, but your Google Keep, like I said, there's no feature where you can create folders. So say there's a note in here that I would like to keep it, but I don't need to look at it every day. I'm going to archive it. That way it's still present. And then when I need it, I go into my archives. You have your archives option here. And when you click on that, it will bring to your archives page. And then from within there, you go back to this button here and it will unarchive it and it will push it back in. Okay. The one option you do have, well, actually, let me rephrase it. There are 2 options you do have for organizing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close this and I'm going to add a couple more notes. So I'm going to add Tuesday. I'm going to make Tuesday green and I'm going to close. And then I'm going to take a note and I'm going to do Wednesday and we'll make that another color and close. So right now you see the default is that it is going to put the newest note first. Okay, you have a couple of options. What you can do is you can drag and drop. So whenever you hover over the note and you see the checkbox over here, then I can click and I can drag. Oh, I can click and drag, click and drag. Oh, I don't know why it's doing that. Click and drag, click, drag, click and drag. So there you go. Sometimes it's a little wonky, but you have the ability to drag and drop. Another option that you have is you have a push pin here. What this will do is this will pin to the top. So what I usually do is if I have pinned to the top my to-do list. My to-do list is pinned at the top because I don't want to have to go and search for it. And again, when you pin it, it's going to pin the newest note first. So I have it pinned Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then when I come up here and take a note and I do science project notes and I hit close, now it comes under here. So you see you have your pinned and then others. So everything else will be underneath it. So if you're going to use this for multiple things, including an agenda book or a to-do list, I always recommend that you pin that to the top because that's something that you're going to be accessing every day, every period. You don't want to have to where is it? It's going to get lost in the weeds down there. And then you keep your others down here. You always have the ability to unpin, so I can just click unpin note, it brings it back down, pin, it brings it back up. So you do have the option to do that. So this is kind of at its basic what Google Keep is and how you could set this up as a to-do list slash agenda book. So the other feature that I want to show you is if you are using it as an agenda book or anytime you're using it as a checkbox, when I come in here and I have completed my activity, I can just click on the box and it moves it down under your completed items. So it grays it out, it puts a line through it. So this is really nice so you can literally see what you have done and move it underneath under the completed item, and then I'm just leaving what I worked on up, what I need to work on up here. Now say I did math worksheet and I checked it off by accident. Maybe I wanted to do my science project. You can always come into your completed item and you can uncheck it. And sometimes students will do this too if they know that every Monday I'm going to have a math worksheet. They could then come in here and say, I'm just going to say we had these that I'm doing. And now I'm going to my next Monday. I'm just going to change the date because I really don't need to keep that note every day. I don't know if this is a correct date or not, but I'm going to say, okay, the next Monday, February 7th, I'm going to change the date and I'm just going to come in here and unclick it because I know that every Monday I'm going to have a math worksheet and then I click close. So there are ways that you can do it so that you don't have to recreate it. Again, I could have always come back in here and let me just check those off again. I can always come back in here and I can make a copy and it's going to create a new copy of the note. And then it shows up. Now, when you create a new copy, it doesn't automatically pin it, but now I have it here and you'll notice that it will copy it and show you what is still considered, in your to-do list and what's completed. And then I could come in here and check it off and have it that way too. So there are a couple of ways that you can either reuse the same note or you can make a copy of it. But I really like this feature of when you're done with something, you can check it off and it just moves it down. It doesn't delete it completely. It just moves it down. So again, you have that visual of, oh, look at all of the work that I've done. And what do I still have left to do?